Be inspired, supported, and empowered. This is the Global Healthy Living Foundation podcast network.
I start my day circulating my feet to make sure that the ankles are working. I have a quick conversation with the Lord about making sure that I can make it out of the bed and stand up.
Welcome to Thriving While Aching, a podcast that inspires and teaches you how to live a fuller life while safely managing pain. I'm Dr. Laurie Ferguson, Director of Education at the Global Healthy Living Foundation. For Beverly, she thrives while empowering others. As an advocate, she's been speaking up for healthcare in the Black community for decades. After getting diagnosed with breast cancer herself, she realized she was in a position to help others. It hasn't always been an easy journey, but for Beverly, being a voice for a larger cause she believes in is her calling. Well, I've been looking forward to this conversation. One of the things that we want to hear from you is about how you thrive while aging. That's kind of the focus of these podcasts. And I think that word thrive is so interesting. So what does that suggest to you, thriving while aging?
Aging means that I feel good, I can think well, I have a good appetite, and whatever chronic pain I have is minimal.
Beverly, you look ageless. Would you mind sharing how old you are?
I am 79 and I will be 80 in January. And the reason I am proud of it is because people say I don't look a day over 65. If I were 40, I would probably be insulted. But I live in an independent senior community. And there are people around here who are in their 80s and 90s, and they're in better shape than I am. And they always tell their age. I saw a lady today who is 93. She had on her jewelry. She had everything matching, and she was on her way out to lunch. And I'm like, I'm going to be like her when I get to be 93.
Beverly's personal story is long and multifaceted. She's an activist. She's been involved in the wellness space for years. And perhaps most importantly, she's been a caregiver for several family members.
I truly believe I was groomed for them from the beginning. I was an only child for 11 years, as though my mom and dad had forgotten what to do. And all of a sudden, I had a baby sister. But as an only child and having the only child syndrome, I was very independent. And even in my household, you did not talk when you were not spoken to. Once I got out into the work world, I became very independent. And you know, once you get married, you better be independent and speak up. Otherwise, you may end up to be an abused woman. And I was not about to be one of those.
You can hear in Beverly's voice her passion for social causes. And it was her experience of living through the civil rights movement when her activism turned to healthcare in a very personal way.
During those years, I truly believe coming up through civil rights, coming up through racism, coming up through being the first Black female or the only Black female, not only in my classes through grade school and high school, but in every job that I went through, you know, I was setting some kind of record that taught me. I mean, those were learning periods for me. So that when I got breast cancer, and I had never seen a Black face talk about breast cancer, I decided something's got to be done. And that's why I say I was groomed for all of that.
It's one thing to be groomed for it. It's another to be working at the right place at the right time to speak up.
I worked at a hospital as an administrative assistant. I went into the American Hospital Association as an administrator. And so all of these things, all of these pieces were sitting right there so that when my mother got sick, when my child was diagnosed with diabetes, when my husband got Alzheimer's, there were pieces that I could grab from my history, from my experience. And all of that, I think those experiences have brought me to where I am, so that now I truly believe that I am thriving for that. I know where to go to ask. I know that I can ask questions. I know that I can keep asking. And doctors, most of the time, don't even suspect that somebody like me is coming in the office. I don't think of myself as being an activist as much as I think of myself as an advocate.
Great distinction. I'm hearing this beautiful thread through your life, finding your voice, knowing your truth, and putting it out there.
I remember very clearly wondering, what is my purpose? Why am I going through whatever it was at the time? And I remember very clearly that still small voice that says, your purpose is to empower women to be the best God has called them to be. And I've always held on to that. And it may not be in a particular area, it may not be in a particular season, but from breast cancer to diabetes to Alzheimer's to right now Medicare and senior citizen, and all of those is talking to women about being the best, not that someone else says you should be, not what the doctor says you should be, but the best God has called you to be. So you need to go within. How do we close that gap between where you are and where you know you want to go?
By this point, I can't help but wonder, how does someone like Beverly become the woman she is, a woman with such clear purpose?
My mother had a saying, when she was ready to have her downtime, she would go in the bathroom and she would say, do you need to go to the bathroom? Because there was only one bathroom in the house during those days. And she would go for 1 hour and take her bath with her Joy liquid, her perfume, her Epsom salt, and her daily word. And you better not say you had to go to the bathroom or anything, because for 1 hour, she would say, let me miss you. You have independent play, you read a book, you take a nap, but you could not call the name mother. So being independent and knowing that I had to take care of myself, my husband would say, I don't know why you ask me any questions about anything, because you're one of those people that if you don't like the game, you're going to take your ball and go home anyway. And I thought, you are absolutely right. If I don't like the game, if it does not suit me, if it does not do well for me, and I don't see a purpose that has some sort of quality, even now, if it's a doctor, he is fired if he is not for me, if he is not looking after what I think he needs to be looking after. So yeah, it started way back.
So Beverly, let's talk about where you find purpose in fun and joy in your life. What do you love to do?
Oh, I love, love, love line dancing. Even after a hip replacement and a do-over, I still love to dance. And I go to chair exercise 3 days a week. So we do yoga one day, and then we're doing all kinds of other exercises the other days. And I have a cousin who teaches line dancing, so I get to go to her classes when I can. I love, love, love music. I played piano starting at 5, went to organ and cello, and I don't play anymore, but I can go from Bach to Donnie McClurkin. And I love piano guys and Keiko Matsui in between. So fun for me is actually being with friends and family and dancing and just laughing.
Beverly mentions many important outlets that we all need.
My name is Kathleen Cameron, and my title is Senior Director for the Center for Healthy Aging at the National Council on Aging.
Kathleen gives Beverly high marks for all of her active interests and describes how exercise is a key to thriving.
Physical activity has a positive impact on our quality of life and our emotions and our mental health, including our independence. It's going to help older adults stay as independent as possible for as long as possible. At the same time, physical activity actually reduces risk of developing chronic conditions like hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, and obesity. And we know that moderate to vigorous intensive physical therapy is really effective for weight management, which in turn reduces joint pressure and joint pain. So persons with arthritis really need to manage their weight as possible. so that their joints don't have the excessive pressure that extra weight could provide. Exercise also helps us with our posture. It strengthens our bones and muscles and repetitive motions that can contribute to musculoskeletal pain.
Beverly, as we age, just getting out of bed in the morning presents nagging issues we never imagined. I know you have to move your ankles around a bit, but you've battled cancer and had a hip replacement. What's your ritual to manage your aches and pains?
I have to take a deep breath on that one because some days I don't think I managed them well. I was on medication and I was suffering some of the side effects. So the doctor gave me a medication and we didn't realize it was a side effect, but she gave me medication to help with what the side effects were. And I thought, Beverly, you're smarter than this. This is stupid. So let's look at it another way. And so what I have done just recently is change my diet. And I don't know if you know anything about the African American family, but when we have a family gathering, it's about food. I mean, fried chicken, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes and gravy, string beans, turnip and mustard greens. And don't forget the apple cobbler and the peach cobbler and the pound cake and the sweet potato pie. And I thought, Beverly, you need to get a grip. You just need to get a grip. So I've changed my diet.
And on top of changing her diet, Beverly now listens to her body.
I'm finding in this day and age, because most people my age assume that if the doctor says it, then you do it. If the doctor prescribes it, then you take it. And because I came up around healthcare professionals, I knew that their decisions were not always made based on the patient. They were based on what they thought was best according to the drugs or whatever the science came up. And even though we're having this whole difficult time about science and personal preference, science wins out as long as it is not detrimental to your health. It's just watching and being aware of what your body is responding to and how it responds.
So really paying attention to yourself and knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you sounds like a good rule we can all learn.
Yes.
So Beverly, how do you take care of yourself on a daily basis?
Well, now I take a nap almost every day. And I don't set out to take a nap, but I will turn on music or I'll turn on a game show or just turn on something. And some days I don't care to hear anything but the whir of the refrigerator or the air conditioner. And I will sit down in a chair and I will just think about anything pleasant. And there's some songs that just fill me with joy. And I will just sit there and for maybe an hour and a half, I will just relax.
Oh, what a great prescription.
And I have a little Shih Tzu named Shaka. She's a little black Shih Tzu. And I call her my diva. And if I get in the chair and just to relax, she's going to come up and lay in my lap and she's going to relax too. So we take time to just cool out during the day.
In the hustle and bustle of our lives, it's easy to ignore the one thing we can do for free at any time to help us thrive.
Mindfulness is really important too as a strategy for managing pain. Mindfulness is actually the practice of focusing one's attention on the present moment and being open to the experiences of that moment, really focusing on the here and now, focusing on your breathing, maybe a specific sound like calm music or an image, maybe a favorite place that brings you peace, a beach, a mountain, a retreat. And it helps really redirect your attention away from the pain.
You have a choice and you have to have your own formula for getting through. And of course, my formula is not drugs. My formula is not alcohol. And my formula is not food. My first choice is to go back to the person I know is God and say, what have I done or what do I need to do to move forward? How long do I need to be here?
Beverly, thank you so much. You are an inspiration, a light.
Well, thank you, Lori. From your lips to God's ears.
We hope you found this episode and our series inspiring. We'd love to know how you are thriving while aching. Send us an email, a short video, or audio clip. Tell us your secret to aging gracefully so we can share it with others in our community. Send it to thriving@ghlf.org. Thanks for joining us for Thriving While Aching, a podcast that inspires and teaches you how to live a fuller life while safely managing pain. If you liked this episode, give us a 5-star rating and write a positive review on Apple Podcasts. It'll help more people like you find us. I'm Dr. Laurie Ferguson. Take care.
Be inspired, supported, and empowered. This is the Global Healthy Living Foundation Podcast Network. This podcast is made possible with support from Johnson & Johnson Consumer Health, sponsor of the Global Healthy Living Foundation.